afternoon, everybody. Thanks. What a great crowd. So, who was here last time I presented? Who wasn't here, I guess, is more important. Okay, so last time we talked about spin selling. Does anybody remember that?
Yeah.
S,
Situation.
P,
Problem.
I,
Implication.
N.
Need payoff.
Awesome. Were you cheating in there, Eric? I believe he was cheating. So today what we're going to talk about, and I think that's great, and on our sales side we try and do a lot of spin selling. I think on our partner sales side we do as well. So one of the things, are objections a good or a bad thing?
Good.
They're a good thing?
Yes.
Why are they a good thing?
Start the conversation.
So would you rather have objections or have no objections? Which would you rather have?
None.
Yeah. Why do you want objections? So if I call you up and I start talking to you about Abstrakt services, and I talk about, get on a pitch, and I'm telling you about how we can help you guys save money and grow your business and increase your sales and do all these things and free you up and save you time and all of that, and I tell you we can do all that for only $3,500, and we can build top-of-mind awareness for all of your clients, gather all kinds of data, and get you marketing assets, and you go, great, where do I sign? I got an agreement right here, I'll send it over. Send it over, they sign it, send it back. 0 objections. Is that a bad thing? It's a great thing, right? Right? So, why do we want objections? We don't want objections. So, if they're going to buy, we don't want objections. If they're not going to buy, then we need to find out why they're not going to buy, and those may be some valid points on why they're not going to. But objections just for objection's sake, so that it starts a conversation or we flush out some issues, is not a good thing. Because wouldn't it be better if you prevent those objections from happening in the first place so that they don't even come up? So what's one of the most common objections?
I'm not interested.
I'm happy with who I already have. Okay? What's like one of the biggest objections most people come up with though when they're buying something? Price. Price, right? Why price? Why is price an objection? Well, I say price is an objection because we haven't built any value. We haven't built any value in what we're selling. So if we've built up value and we've made this thing or service or product so valuable, is price going to be an objection? Could be, right? Still could be. You could build up all the value in the world around a Ferrari for me. I could go out Chesterfield Valley to that Ferrari dealership and you could just build it up that, man, I need that to go to work, to look cool, and everybody would be so excited and they want to be just like me. But when it came time to paying for it, it's not going to happen. It's too expensive. So is that an objection or is that just a fact? Just a fact. I'm not a good prospect for them. I can't afford that Ferrari. So it doesn't mean it's an objection. It's just a fact of why we can't do business. And that could happen. So we could be, calling somebody to sell a phone system, and it turns out they just installed a phone system. They're into a 5-year agreement. There's no way out. We've done all our due diligence, and all it was is the timing was just wrong. Had we been on the phone with that person 6 months ago, we may have got engaged in that. Timing would have been right, and then we could have talked about our solution. So there's just going to be times when people have valid objections, and they're really not objecting to what we're offering or proposing to them. It just doesn't make sense. somebody, possibly, I'll take Eric for example, he takes the Metrolink to work every day. So if I can go in there and I come and try and sell him a car, he's like, well, it just doesn't make sense. You can't justify, I get there, I never have to worry about it, boom, 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 saves him money, everything, because somebody sold him on the Metrolink more so than a car at some point. I think you still have a car, but there's just times you don't necessarily need it. What's that? Right, it could be, and so it just depends upon the situation. So you start, great. So then what do? That's a perfect thing. So what does that mean? What would you have done prior to telling me the price of the car? So as a great example, if you guys didn't hear, she said, what if the Metrolink doesn't go where you want to go? What is that? What kind of question is that? You're building a need. That's an implication question, right? So what if you needed to go somewhere else and the Metrolink didn't go there? How would that impact you? How would you get there? And it was extremely important. So let's take it to the other extreme. It's an emergency at home. Your child's choking, and you need to get him to the hospital real quick. You can't even wait for an ambulance, but all you have is Metrolink. Holy cow. Now it's a life and death situation that you need a car. It's pretty important, right? More important than just right out of the gate, I'm okay because I take the Metrolink to work back and forth. So today we're going to talk about preventing objections. So the key is if we can prevent objections, we can actually get more sales, or we can set more appointments if we can prevent those objections from happening. Most people have been taught how to overcome objections. Who here has gone over overcoming objections? Everybody should probably raise their hand, right? I know in our sales group we have a whole 5 or 6 page sheet on overcoming objections, common questions that are going to happen. How much time do we spend, though, training on how to prevent those objections from happening? So how can we build value into the products and services that we're offering for our customers? How can we build value into Abstrakt's services so that the client doesn't even come up with those objections? Okay? And if we address those and attack those through implication and need payoff questions, we can avoid a lot of those objections that are going to come up. And ultimately, that's what we want to get, right? So if I anticipate and start talking about something and how that could help you out and ask you questions, will it help you out, and you get engaged and you're like, yeah, that makes sense, then you're probably not going to object about that later because you've already covered it. Yep. I got one. Typically, there's always going to be, well, if you think back, those of you who've been selling for a long time, think back on your sales career. Do you get, like Cole, do you get more or less objections now than you did when you first started selling Abstrakt services?
Way less.
Way less. Do you sell more or now? Do you sell more deals? So everybody thinks objections are good. The more objections we get, the more engaged they are, right? The more buying signals that is. So Cole, who's one of our top salespeople and has been for the last 3 years, gets less objections now than he did when he started, and he sells more business now than he did when he started. So does that follow that pattern of more objections equals more sales, or less objections equals more sales? Less objections means more sales, right? Typically, when it's a new sales rep and they get on the pitch, or they start calling for our clients, what happens? They usually get the most objections, right? So they're constantly coming to their manager and saying, oh, well, they said they didn't have enough money. They said they were too busy to talk right now. They said, what were some other objections we were getting? People were saying? We're happy with who we currently have. Okay, what's that?
It's the friend of the family.
Friend of the family. We're happy with that. So if we know that they're going to ask those things, well, we can plan for that. And we can try and prevent those things even from coming up. So the more skilled you get in sales and the better you get at asking those implication questions, the less likelihood you're going to be hitting a lot of those typical objections because you know to address those in the pitch. If it happens 90% of the time, you're pretty sure the next time you start talking about X, it's going to come up. So address it ahead of time and flush it out. Typically, like we said, the newer people get up to 10 times more objections than a seasoned salesperson. And conversely, probably sell 10 times less. So everybody's familiar with features, advantages, and benefits, right? Features, advantages, benefits. Is talking about the features a good thing?
Depends on who you're talking to. I mean, some people are interested in the specifics and the nuts and bolts, but for the most part, you need to talk about the bigger picture and the higher level benefits behind the features.
So can you sell more of something by talking about all its features?
You don't want a feature dump.
So it's a trick question. Trick question here. Because sales is not one size fits all. Sales doesn't always work the exact same way for the exact same sale.
At different points in the process as well. If you're near the end of the sales process where you've already talked about the higher level benefits, then it's down to the brass tacks and the specifics. Like on our appendix of our agreement, this is what you get specifically. These are the features of the process. And I mean, where you are in the sales process kind of dictates what you're talking about.
So let me give you an example. And you're right, absolutely. But let me give you an example. Does anybody in here have one of them really cool running watches? Like, I went to Walmart last year to buy a watch because Scott got me fired up and got me to think whether or not I could run a 6-minute mile still. And I didn't think I could, and he's like, sure you can. And then I was like, gosh, dang it, now I got to go do it. And my stopwatch didn't have a battery because it's been that long since I ran anything for time. So I go to Walmart and I'm looking at the watches, right? And what do I start looking at? All the features of the watches. This one has a stopwatch, it has date and time, it counts down, it counts up, it does splits, it does this, it does that, it does all these things. So if somebody is selling me a watch like that, what are they going to do? They're going to start talking about all the stuff this watch does. Holy cow, for all the things this watch does, it should cost a fortune, right? The watch was like $10.95. So did I buy it? Now, in the same case, this is a lie because we're talking about Walmart, but could be if you go to an expensive jeweler right next to the watch that does all those things, could be a Rolex. What does a Rolex do? What are the features of a Rolex typically? Tells time and maybe gives you the date. Okay? Maybe it has the date and the time. How much does a Rolex cost? 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 grand. I mean, you can pay whatever you want for a Rolex, right? And it tells, I don't care if it costs $200, it doesn't have the features that it wasn't a Timex, I lied. Timex for like 25, this was a Walmart brand or whatever. But it still didn't have near the features of that. So if you're selling something that if you can build up the value by all the features, and then I'm thinking, man, this has got to cost at least 30 bucks. They turn around and it's $10.95. Holy cow, how can I not buy? Look at all the features I get. So features absolutely can help sell a product when you're building up the value by all the features and then you're coming in at a low price. But what if you're selling a high-priced item? You want to just throw out all the features? So if you look at the ads for Rolex, they don't talk about features. They usually have it in a picture with that Ferrari or some status symbol or something that proves that you can afford a Rolex. So, I can afford a Rolex and you can't. So obviously I'm here and you're here. I mean, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get your status level up here to get you to buy that. Not because it keeps good time, because I got a Timex. I bet that little stopwatch I have keeps pretty darn close to as good a time as a Rolex does. Okay? And Timex clearly keeps it forever as long as you keep changing out the batteries. So they're not trying to sell features on that. They're trying to sell status that you've made it. So you've got to think about what kind of products you're trying to sell and what is the value proposition that you're doing. So we've got a client that we brought in, and they literally, it's an IT client, and they said, we are cheaper than everybody, by far. We undercut everybody. And nobody can compete with us on price. We'll come in and blow everybody's price away. They wanted us to lead with that. I mean, great. So now we could even lead with all the features, all the things that they do. And oh, by the way, we're the lowest price. Nobody can beat us. Let us come in. We guarantee we will lower your price. Nobody can beat us on price. Most of our clients don't say that, right? Most businesses don't want to do that because as soon as you compete on price, then you always have to be the low price leader, and somebody's always trying to undercut you on price, and there's only so much margin in a deal, so everybody's trying to sell on what?
Value.
On value. What's the value that you get out of product or service that you're offering? So even in ours, when we're selling Abstrakt, we could sit there and just, and we've talked about this before too, right? When we give the pitch, we could just bombard people with features. You know, we do this, we set X amount of appointments, we collect, you know, da-da-da-da-da, as opposed to digging into the benefits of what all those features entail. So when we get on there and we do really good pitches, it's because we're talking to the prospects about how's this going to impact your business, all right? How is Abstrakt setting appointments, collecting data, keeping over 1,200 companies top of mind awareness? How is that going to affect your business? Not only your business, how is it going to affect you personally? So if you're out there and you're doing that, and you're the owner of the company, what else could you be doing with that time? Well, you know what? We're trying to implement a new accounting package. Really? So what's keeping you from doing that? Well, I just don't have time. But you told me you're spending about 30 or 40% of your time out prospecting, and then you're going out and meeting with customers, and then you're following up proposals, and then you're also running the business and a million things that business owners do, right? That you guys do on a daily basis. So so if you implement that, instead of just bypassing that accounting package, and I start going, so by implementing that accounting, why are you guys doing that? Why would you bring in a new accounting package? Oh, because it's going to speed up our billing process, and then by doing that, we'll be able to actually get our invoices out quicker. So if you get them out quicker, does that mean you're going to be able to collect quicker? Yeah, we'll be able to collect. They're going to go out electronically. We're going to have it set up with automatic ACH deductions when it goes out. So what's that mean? Oh, we'll get our cash quicker. Oh, well, how would that? Oh, to help our cash flow. Da-da-da-da-da. Now all of a sudden, we're talking about something totally different, an accounting package that's going to help improve your business, make your customers happier, get cash flow into you quicker, but all I got to do is free up time. Guess what? Let me take that 30% of prospecting that you do off your plate. I'll do it for you. In fact, I'll probably do a lot better because I'll consistently do it. I'll follow up with them, and then I talk about all the things that we do in order to do that. So if I was able to do that and free up that 30%, would you be able to implement that accounting software and get it done by the end of the year? Yeah, absolutely. Great. Now does it even make more sense to use our service? Because not only are you going to keep going where you were going, you're going to increase that because I'm going to find you more opportunities. You still have time to go on the meetings because I'm taking away 30% of that. I'm just going to put you on a few more meetings every month and give you more opportunities to close business. And you're going to have time to work with your finance guy and implement the accounting package. Seems like a pretty good reason, right? So totally got out of just what we think are the reasons people would buy our process and started thinking outside it and giving implications of what their time takes away from them. So do we treat the symptoms or the causes? When you're sick, you go into the doctor, what's the doctor do? asks questions, right? Why? He's a doctor. He's a doctor, why do they ask? They know everything, right? So why would they ask you questions? Yeah, because they have no idea what's wrong with you, right? So they're trying to find out what the cause of this sickness is. They could easily just look at you and go, and you say, oh, well, I got a stomach ache or whatever, and you can take kaopectate and soothes your stomach ache, right? Well, that's great, but what caused that stomach ache? Well, as they ask you and find out, is it a virus that is going around, or is it food poisoning? So they ask more questions. Oh, did you go to eat anywhere last night? Yeah, I did. Well, did you have seafood? Yeah. Or sushi or whatever. Was it? Yeah, it was raw. And all of a sudden, they diagnose based on that and come to find out they run these tests and you had food poisoning, salmonella. Okay? A lot different than just a stomach virus that they may treat a different way. So by asking all those questions, they're trying to dig down to find out what the cause of that sickness is and that problem that you have. And so we're no different, right? So we get on the phone for our clients, and what do we do sometimes? Hi, this is John with ABC Company, and we're a local IT provider, and I'd like to get my owner to come out there and talk to you about cloud services and da-da-da-da-da. What did I just do? I tell so, but I just provided a solution, right? How could I provide a solution? I don't even know what the problem is. But I'm giving you a solution. I'm going to come out and I'm going to talk to you about cloud or virtualization or disaster recovery or backup, and I have no idea what your problem is. I have no idea if you have any need. So without a need, now just because they tell me they don't have a need, does that mean they don't have a need? Because what's everybody's first response when I walk in the store? Do you need some help? No, I'm just looking. Really? So you walked into a store, drove to the parking lot, parked there, walked in because you're just looking. More than likely, you're probably looking to buy something. You probably don't even know where it's at. And literally, if you just said, yeah, where's the dress pants at? Oh, well, they're down the hall and off to the right. But why? Why do you say I'm just looking? You don't want to be bothered. Salesperson. I'm okay. Until what? Until you've walked around the store and you can't find the darn thing that you're looking for. Now all of a sudden, what happens? Where are those salespeople at? Where are the freaking salespeople? I can't believe nobody's here to help me. I mean, I can tell you I've been in Home Depot or Lowe's and I'm looking for something and I'm ready to start screaming. I've screamed before. Because I can't find somebody to help me. Help me what? Help me buy something. So I'm mad because somebody won't help me buy something. Because I want to buy. I have a need. But when I walked in, I told the first guy I saw, no, I'm just looking, I don't need anything. I don't need anything. And then I got mad because I wanted to buy. So most people, if they will even have a conversation with you and get past the I'm just looking and you can dig a little bit deeper, probably have a need, probably have but it's our job to find out what that is. So if I get on the phone and I say I'm John with XYZ Company and we're a local IT company and you know what, we've been able to help some other companies here locally, ABC and XYZ, really improve their IT performance and we lowered their cost and quite honestly what we found out was that IT was really the number one or number two driver in their business. Probably the same for you, right? Yeah? Well, what we did with them too is we were able to come in and do an assessment of their current environment. When was the last time you guys had an assessment done? What do you mean? Benchmark to what you're currently doing. So, by the way, do you guys do it internally or you guys outsource? Oh, we outsource to a third party. Really? Well, who is that? No, it's ABC. Great. When was the last time you benchmarked those guys? Or how long you been with them first? We've been with them for 2 years. Or we've been with them for 15 years, like some people tell me. We've been with them forever. Great. That's awesome. We love people that are faithful and loyal and everything too, and that's awesome. But when was the last time you actually benchmarked them against what's going on out in the industry right now? Because IT changes, not yearly or monthly. I mean, it almost changes daily, right? You can go on the internet and find something new today that wasn't out there yesterday about IT needs. It's just constantly changing. Probably a good idea just to find out if you guys are staying current with all the technology, or if there maybe is something out there that they missed that would help you be a little more efficient, more cost savings, help you run your business a little bit better. And they're going to either say yes or no, and you dig into that. But you start asking better questions about that. So advantages and objections, same thing. Again, a lot of people confuse advantages with benefits. So you have a feature, all right? This car has 300 horsepower, 350 horsepower. That's a horsepower, right? I'm thinking way back to the old cars that had 350 horsepower. And what's the advantage of 350 horsepower? Goes fast. Goes fast, very quickly. 0 to 60 in 4.2. Cool. What's the benefit? So that's an advantage. Oh, it's really fast. You should buy this car because it's really fast. So maybe to me, who's got 85 speeding tickets, that's not a benefit. That just allows me to get even more, right? Or, like I've told the people who've been in here before, I'm the guy who likes to cut people off. So to me, the benefit is I can zip past the traffic, cut somebody off, get off on my exit, make it to work on time, keep my job. Danny Bean. And it's a pretty big benefit, right?
I was mad to cut off people.
See, if you'd have had that faster car and cut people off, you'd made it work on time that day and I got fired. We will never let Danny live that down. He'll be the #1 sales guy, and we'll always do that. So, but again, just a fast car without knowing why a fast car matters to me or to you doesn't really matter, right? I could sell on that car being fast all day long. And to some people, it doesn't matter. To some people, it's extremely important. So do I want to spend my time and their time talking to the people who it doesn't matter to, where there's no benefit to that? Or do I want to find out that gas mileage is really the most important thing because I'm on a lower budget and I have to drive 50 miles to work every day like Patrick, and so all of a sudden cutting people off isn't as important to Patrick as better gas mileage is. So now what do? I shift over and I show him the car that gets good gas mileage, and we start talking about that, how that's going to be better for him. So again, if I'm selling IT, am I going to jam something down somebody's throat, virtualization, and really talk about that? But maybe that's not what they need. Maybe they've already, if you asked a couple more questions, you find out I don't really need that, but I do need some disaster recovery and backup, and I want some, co-location because it's so important. It's got to be, redundantly backed up in locations 135 miles apart, et cetera, because I asked some more questions about it. So again, what's the cure for that? What's the cure for the advantage, for just finding out more about giving the features and the advantages, is the probing questions. So I like to say a thing too with probing, and it's from my Cintas days, and we called it PONK. Who knows what PONK is?
Price of non-conformance.
Danny was at my Wednesday training class. Price of non-conformance. So if you think about that, what does that mean? What does price of non-conformance mean?
It's implication. What happens if you don't?
Yeah. What happens if you don't do something? What happens if you don't use my service? What happens if you don't use my product? So, give you an example. I used to own a document imaging company. And scanning pieces of paper was very expensive. So, to go into somebody and say it's going to cost you 10 cents to scan this piece of paper, versus I could take a box of paper and store that for about 25 cents a month. We'll do the math. So if it's an HR record, you got to keep it for how many years past their termination? 5 years
As
or
far as like the I-9 or the...
yeah, you got to keep them for a certain amount past termination.
Their permanent records.
What's that?
Forever as far as their permanent records.
For the-
Their archive, but on site it's about 3 years. Then
3 years.
Send it off site.
Okay, so still, do the math again. At 25 cents a box times 12, it's $2, just say $2 a year, and you're going to put, 50 records in there. You could store this thing for 100 years for like, whatever, $10. I mean, it's nothing to store stuff in paper format. So what we would do is we would punk them. What's the price of nonconformance? We go in with an HR director like Patrick and say, well, Patrick, question for you. Your sales guys have non-competes? And you would say, yes, they do. And I'd say, so you're storing all those HR records in paper, right? Right.
Absolutely.
I'm going to shorten this up, but what would happen if you guys had a fire here? I mean, it's an old building, a lot of wood. They'd probably burn up, wouldn't they?
Yes, they would.
So what would happen if those HR records burned up? What would that mean to you? And you'd probably go, well, I could recreate them, da-da-da-da-da. And then I go, but do you have any sales reps that are really good that don't work here anymore? Yeah. Okay, and their records were in there too, right? Yeah, and their non-compete was in there too, right? Yeah. That was the only copy you had of it, right? Yeah. Just burned up in a fire. And I happen to be that sales rep, and I happen to read that in the newspaper. I also happen to still be in this business, and guess what? Now I can go out and start my own. And I can compete against Abstrakt, and I can do it with no chance of getting in trouble because I don't have non-compete any longer. So now what's the impact of not scanning those records? Potentially going out of business because it could bring competitors in there that have all the intellectual knowledge, everything on how we do it, and they have free rein to go out and start a business and compete against me. The non-compete's gone. That's how we got somebody to spend, $2.50 or $3 or $5 to scan a little HR record for each employee. It just didn't make any sense. It just didn't make sense to spend the money to do that. But it did when you started thinking about the repercussions of not doing it. Not to mention that, you got to lock your door every time when you forget to lock your door. You've got, there's all these other things that go along with paper, just pulling records out, the time it takes when Scott says, hey, I need to see so-and-so's employee file versus him being able to just go online and look it up. So all that factored in with all the other things now is a benefit to spending the money. And if I do that really well, the objection of, holy cow, you mean it's going to cost me 50 grand to scan all these records to, wow, it's only going to cost me 50 grand to scan all these records. So that was our goal because we used to throw some big prices at people and say, we did a lot of legal cases and people would spend $250,000 on scanning court documents. But we had some great case studies that showed that we helped our clients win a lot of cases that were done electronically. We were able to search records electronically, find the smoking guns inside those records. So the fact that I could go to an attorney and say, hey, I'm going to scan and OCR this stuff, and you'll be able to search for every keyword across millions of pieces of paper. Might cost you $250,000 to do it, but when you're being sued for $50 million, and winning or losing is pretty important, only $250,000 to do it? Great. Where do I sign up? Versus just walking in and going, well, it'll cost you about $250,000 to do that. And they're like, are you crazy? Well, that costs too much. Now you got a price objection, right? So if you build the value in, you build the value in early and don't give them a chance to, so depending upon the questions you ask, you could be giving them the opportunity, and most sales reps do. Most sales reps give the prospect the opportunity to object right away because they haven't built the value yet. They just start throwing questions out there that are going to lead to objections. So we talked about that. What's the most important is the benefits. Driving the benefits home, how your client, so you've got to think about and ask yourself and ask your client, what's the benefit of using you? What's the benefit? Not what do you guys offer and what are the products you have, and that's great. I can go to your website and I can see all that. But you should be asking them, what is the benefit of using your company? And I don't mean we provide better customer service and all those kind of things. I mean, if you use our data center, we are 99.95% uptime, which means that 0.5 versus somebody else's, 0.05 or whatever, or 1.0 versus 0.05 is huge. If you calculate it out and show that throughout the course of the year, we're going to be down for like 4 hours the whole year, and every competitor is down for an average of 1 day. We're down for 4 hours or whatever. Take that times how much an hour some of these companies lose when they're down for an hour. That 4 hours could be worth thousands and thousands of dollars. Or it could be an 8-hour difference or a 12-hour difference or whatever. But there's got to be some value in there, and you've got to know what that is so that when you're on that phone call or you're in front of that customer, or in our case, pitching them, or our client's case, out pitching their clients, and they're uncovering those needs and asking those questions, they've got to be asking questions that's going to lead to a need for the client, and then you can present your need payoff question because you've got a benefit to offer them. But if they don't have a problem, and you can't identify it, and they can't acknowledge it, and they can't see where your product or service is going to fulfill that, then what are you going to get? You're going to get objections, right? And if you don't, and you've fulfilled all that, then you're going to get customers. So how do you know? And so we're sitting here talking about preventing objections. You're not ever going to prevent all objections. It's just not going to happen. So what do we want to do? We want to minimize those. So if you're getting objections real early in your call, you might be calling up and saying, hey, this is John with XYZ Company. We're an local IT company. We'd like to have Steve come out and meet with you, talk about virtualizing your servers. We already virtualized our servers. We don't need that. We've already got it. That's too expensive. Da, da, da. So what happened? I tried to set an appointment. I provided no value, and I started getting objections left and right. Good sign that you need to work on preventing objections better, and you need to present value to the client or to the prospect before you start providing solutions. All right? So if you're providing the solution too soon and you're getting objections, if you're getting objections early, you're probably providing the solution too soon. Okay? And what's too soon? I don't know. It just depends. We talk to somebody on the phone and they're like, oh my gosh, exactly what I need. This is the right timing. I've been looking for a company like this. You guys can do this. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to sign. Great. Let me send a contract over to you, and do you want to sit there and go into everything at that point? No, maybe there's a few things. But I can't tell you that it's going to be 5 minutes or 20 minutes or 50 minutes or 10 meetings before it's the right time to provide the solution. That just depends upon the situation that you're in. The other is the objections are about value. Pricing objections, I don't think it's worth that. We can't afford that, whatever. So when they start asking about value, you didn't build enough value into your product or service. And clearly, here's the thing. If your product or service isn't worth what you're charging, you got a problem. Okay? So good example is, and it's not always just the price, because who's shopped at Target and who's shopped at Walmart? Has anybody shopped at either of those places? Okay. I shop at them. I'm a Walmart guy, But you can go sometimes to Target and find the exact same thing for $10 more or $10 less at Walmart than it is at Target. Exact same thing. So if you're a salesperson, what would you say to that? Oh, you should probably go to Walmart. It's cheaper. Why would Target be able to charge more for the exact same thing than Walmart? Huh? But do I care about their overhead? Nope. I don't care about their overhead. So why would I wouldn't buy from Target because of their high overhead? Why would I buy from Target?
Better experience.
Huh?
Better experience.
Why is it a better experience?
It's more clean.
Yeah, it's cleaner. And I do like that because I believe that. Target's cleaner. What else? Why else would I go to Target and spend more than Walmart? What's that? Yes, better employees. They treat you better. Somebody else said it. It's an important one for me. Convenience. Target's right around the corner from my house. Walmart's another 2 or 3 miles up the road. So, huh? Walmart? No, I'm saying I will go to Target and spend more because it's more convenient. I will go there because it's cleaner. I will go there because the people are friendlier or more knowledgeable. So I'm willing to pay more for that for those reasons to the exact same product. Right? So maybe we've got IT clients and they're selling the exact same thing, which they typically don't because there's something different. But maybe one has a response time that's 2 hours quicker. What's that worth? I mean, that could be worth a huge amount, right? So find out what those things are and bring those benefits out to the client. And why is 2 hours quicker a benefit? Well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's no big deal. But if you find out why that 2 hours really could matter, what are the implications of that 2 hours? What doesn't get done? How important is that? What does that really mean? Not just even the 2 hours down, but that could affect finance getting invoices out today versus tomorrow, getting paid quicker, and maybe take it somewhere even closer, that all of a sudden it's the 14th, our system's down, and guess what? SEPI doesn't get payroll in. Oh, that's all right. We're only going to be a week late for payroll this month. You guys okay with that? Now all of a sudden that 2 hours makes a big difference, doesn't it? Because it affects everybody's paycheck. That's pretty important. So now all of a sudden that 2 hours could mean a whole lot, right? Ask Cole when I got his check in on Friday and SEPI was able to get it out versus not get it out. He was a lot happier with me because we were able to get that done. Now it wasn't because the computer system was down, but that kind of situation makes a big difference in certain people's lives, right? Okay, that is all I've got. I do have one thing though. Take just a couple minutes and talk about. And this can actually be cut off the thing. So this is for us. And I want Steve and I, unfortunately Steve's not here because he was going to come up with me and talk about this. We want to make sure that everybody in the building is set with the same expectations. And we want sales to be selling one thing, implementation team to be implementing the same thing, and the partner sales to be delivering the same thing. And if we do that, the expectations by our clients will be all level set, and our clients will be extremely happy with what we do. Okay? If we set the expectations the same at every single level. So sales can't be selling one thing and then partner sales be delivering something else. Our clients' expectations are going to be here, partner sales expectations are going to be here, and we're not going to meet the client's expectations because they're at or above what sales sold them. So I just want you guys to know that what Steve and I have talked about, and I've been talking to the sales reps about, is there's really 3 things from the appointment, okay? So I think everybody's on the same page with the value of top-of-mind awareness, the value of the data that we collect is extremely important. And if your clients don't see that, you need to point it out to them. Because collecting the data, doing the surveys, making sure the survey questions that we have in there, that they've really thought about those survey questions that they want to get answered. Let them know that we have requirements to meet a certain amount of surveys that we have to get collected on their behalf every month. That's important. I always think back to my business, and if I had this service and somebody could tell me at the end of the year, almost 1,200 companies, what they're doing in my market, who the competitors are they scanning or not scanning, are they scanning internally, are they doing it with a vendor, all these things. I probably have 3 or 4 questions that I always asked. If I could have known that about everybody in town, holy cow. Because I knew I could beat so-and-so at this. So if you told me all the customers that were using these guys, I'd know exactly how to attack them and go in and try and sell to them. And if it was using these guys, I'd know exactly how to sell against these guys. And if they're doing it in-house, I knew exactly how to sell against doing it in-house. And if they weren't doing anything, I knew exactly how to sell to somebody who wasn't doing anything. So I had all these different ways, but by not knowing that, I wouldn't even know where to begin. I have to pick up the phone and do all the calls, and I didn't have time to do it. So outside of those 2 things, which are extremely important, setting the appointment, what the expectation we want to set is that we're going to get you in front of somebody that meets your requirements. And when I say requirements, it could be 10 workstations up to 200 workstations. So when we set that meeting, was there at least 10 workstations? Yes, check. Everybody's good with that, right? Or if it's commercial cleaning, it's 10,000 square feet and above. Was that building over 10,000 square feet? Yes, it was. Check. Great. Second thing is that we're meeting with the decision maker that's identified in the agreement. So let's take IT, and we say typically it's a IT director or above. So an IT director, it could be a CTO, a CFO, a CIO, CEO, president of the company, but at least an IT director or above. So was the meeting set with that person? Yes, check. The third thing is that they are interested in having a conversation regarding our clients' products and services. Face-to-face meeting. If it's not a face-to-face meeting, the client has acknowledged that should be in the agreement, or it should even be an addendum that says, hey, I'll do phone appointments because it's 200 miles away, and I'm not going to go there. I'll qualify them first on the phone. Or it's a national client. Or our radius is we'll go out to 150 miles, but anything over 70 miles, we'll do a phone appointment. Anything 70 and less, we'll do face-to-face. Okay? So Travis, if you guys were in here, was that 2 weeks ago on the video from Stability, he said it best. He said, you guys set my expectations are perfect with what you guys do. And those 3 things are the 3 things that we do for him. He said, it's my job to get in front of that person and identify the need. And he literally said, hey, the fact that they're going to sit down with me for 30 minutes means they have some kind of need. Nobody at that level is going to agree to sit down to a face-to-face meeting that doesn't have some type of need. Now, it may not be a need today. It may not be a need tomorrow. It may be a need in 6 months. I don't know. But maybe they're interested in virtualizing their servers and their desktops, and they're really just looking at it. They've got 50 workstations, and it's a big change, big investment to do that. So they're looking at it, and they want to gather information. They want to meet with our client to talk about that. I think that's a great opportunity. They got the opportunity to go in there, be the front runner, talk them through, and then overcome, prevent objections, talk about why it makes sense to virtualize all this stuff, and not just because I get paid if you do, but because it's going to benefit you. And here's the benefits to virtualizing all your stuff. I mean, fire in this building, I'd be like, oh my God, Lee, are you kidding me? Look at this, a fire hazard waiting to happen. If that fire happens, they're never going to catch it before your servers burn up, and how in the world, it's impossible, right? And you start getting to think, oh my God, you're right, look at all this stuff, and yeah, I thought about it, but Scott won't pay for it, and but if you build big enough need there, big enough benefit, he'll either do that or he'll get Scott to come on that meeting, and it'll be a follow-up meeting. Could take a second meeting, could take a third meeting. And we really need to make sure that our clients have a sales process to follow as well. Do they go in? Do they do a discovery? Do they have a pitch deck that they use to talk to their clients? Do they have a follow-up process? What are they doing once we hand off that meeting and hand off that relationship to them? Because we're done. We can't impact that sale any longer. So if they don't take that to fruition and close that business, what happens? It was a bad meeting, it's horrible, we can't close any business off the appointments you're setting. So talk to them about that. I know that Steve really wants to work on even more sales training for our clients in regards to that, in regards to making sure they have a sales process that they're following when they get out in front of that client, and that they are able to develop those needs and present the value of their solutions and uncover the opportunities out there so that they don't turn around and go, well, that was a horrible appointment. Maybe it was a horrible appointment for you, but it was a really good opportunity that you just didn't uncover, okay? And Steve and I are going to work really hard on making sure the gap between sales and fulfilling our clients' appointments is right in line, okay? Anybody have any questions on that? And I think hopefully partners, sales managers, Steve has conveyed that to you guys. I know I've conveyed it to our sales guys, and that's what we're setting. And we do have prospects who have unrealistic expectations, and it's the sales guy's job to say, well, it's not what we do. This is what we do, and this is why it's valuable to you. And quite honestly, you probably don't want us out there doing these other things, because we don't even know, how can I BANT qualify a project or an appointment when I don't even know what they need completely? So I haven't even uncovered all that. That's like me giving a solution without knowing what the problem is. Okay? Anybody have any questions? All right, thanks guys.